is Palesa Komane. I'm actually from Show Me Your Number. Today, we're going to talk briefly about the human rights. The module that we're going to talk about is sex, gender, and sexuality. In this module, we're going to cover the following things: sex, gender, sexuality, and legal rights, gender norms and expectations from society, forms and causes of gender-based discrimination, sexual orientation, sexual identity, as well as sexual expressions and the differences that are in between them, the links between sex, gender, sexuality, and access to rights, access to services, and including identifying rights abusers. But at the end of the day, I would like you to know the concepts of sex, gender, and sexuality and related legal rights, and also sexual orientation, sexual identity, sexual expression, and the differences between them, and how to apply rights-based responses. So now let's continue. Let's define sex and gender. Sex refers to the fundamental differences between people who are human. It refers to male or female. When we do refer to gender, we're now talking about values, beliefs that we have in society. And these beliefs are what we believe a woman should behave, our certain expectation from a woman. We also have got norms or expectations of a boy or a male child. And this is the difference between sex and gender. So to unpack what we just talked about, when we talk about gender norms, we actually are telling people how to behave. What is the correct manner that we assign to them? And we actually are saying different rules apply to different people. Gender norms also speak and highlight the resources, the opportunities that are in society, and how they automatically just amplify inequality. Because we're actually saying certain resources have always been assigned to men and should be assigned to men. Let me make an example. Men used to work in the mining industry, but there are a lot of women that are doing sterling jobs in the mining sector. Now, let's bring it back to HIV as well. There are many times when sex is perceived to be something that only men can enjoy, and therefore there is a culture that adolescent girls and young women should not be choosing who they have sex with and when they have sex with. And they should not be empowered with having a condom or choosing the method of protection that they use. And it's a very dangerous, slippery slope if we do not address gender norms and expectations in society when addressing HIV and TB. So now when we talk about conforming and non-conforming, we have to now make you understand the impact thereof. So when we talk about conforming, we're actually saying you are part of what is acceptable in society. You are a woman and you are not different. And this means that for you, it is easy to claim your right. It is easy to get access to treatment. It is easy for you to get access to services from a police station. Now, when you are non-conforming in society, meaning when you are different, it heightens the level of risks and also heightens your exposure to violence in society. Let me make a small example. A woman will fall pregnant. This woman is married. When she announces her pregnancy, everybody is happy for her. When she goes to a clinic, the nurse will attend to her by making sure that she is comfortable and she has the best care. Now, let's have the same scenario. A young girl is pregnant. She's an adolescent girl and young woman. She is 16. When she announces her pregnancy, we are not pleased in society because we have expectation that she should not be pregnant. When she goes to a health facility, her exposure to violence is heightened. So for the second time, she will then engage with a nurse. And when she does, she will be confronted by attitude, meaning the level and the service of healthcare that she gets will be compromised. This is the example of conforming and non-conforming. And the important thing is when somebody in society is different, when they do not meet the expectations of society, it puts them at risk when they are unable to have access to human rights. They are unequal, they are not given the dignity that they deserve, and therefore their ability then to get healthcare is compromised. Gender-based discrimination affects us all, but it affects women greatly. Women of all ages are at different level of exposure and transmission of HIV. Now, most women struggle with abuses because of gender norms, abuses because of inequalities, or certain level of abuses because of the lack of opportunities that are there for them. That means a woman is exposed to violence in the comfort of her own home. Or a woman could also be exposed to violence in the workplace because of gender inequalities and gender norms in that part of her life. So continuously, women are at risk of ongoing denial of legal rights, access to health care. And this puts them greatly at risk of HIV and other related illnesses from society. And this heightens the level of inequalities that must be addressed continuously in South Africa in order to protect women from these disease, HIV, as well as STIs. Now let's unpack sexuality, sexual orientation, and sexual identity. Sexuality talks to how we express ourselves sexually. This means who we're attracted to, what kind of sexual feelings do we have for that next person. However, gender norms, gender expectations influence this. Because of these norms, the society has expectation who you have sex with, whether or not you interact or follow up on these feelings, and how you express your sexual desires. Sexual orientation is about who you are attracted to. Let me make an example. If you are sexually attracted to a person of the same sex as yourself, you are homosexual. If you are attracted to a person that is of a different sex from you, you are heterosexual. If you are attracted to somebody who is the same sex as well as the opposite sex, then you are termed as bisexual. Sexual identity, on the other hand, is a little bit more complicated. This means that there are some part of our communities or persons in our society who do not identify with the sex they were assigned to at birth. This means somebody was born with male genitalia but identifies themselves as female, or somebody was born with a female genitalia but now identifies with an opposite identity that was assigned to them at birth. Please note that your sexual identity is not the same as your sexual orientation. These are two different aspects and should not be confused. Now we're going to talk about stigma. Depending on your gender identity, depending on your gender expression, or your sexual expression rather, you may find yourself having multiple levels of stigma and discrimination. You may find yourself being denied legal intervention. And in so many cases, it comes with rights abuses. People that are HIV, people of different age groups also experience heightened level of discrimination. However, this is where human rights is so important, because South Africa has many policies and many beautiful written constitutions or acts that address inequalities in our system. But because we have so many of the minorities without a share of voice, we have to now educate them and educate ourselves on the right to access to healthcare. We have to ensure that those without a voice have got legal interventions. We have to make sure that those who have a different sexual expression from ourselves have got access to healthcare that's equal to ours. We have to ensure at all times that so many of these people that are different from us in our society have got access to protection from the law. We are all equal from the law, and at all times we need to address human rights to ensure equality to access that are promised to all of us in South Africa. The most important, or the last aspect, is that we create or we assist in creating an enabling environment, meaning that at all levels of society, whether we are individuals, whether we are collective, whether we are service providers, meaning whether we are duty bearers, or in all forms of our structures in society, we have to talk about human rights, and we have to respond accordingly and address these issues if ever we were to reduce HIV in South Africa. This is the end of Module 3, Sex, Gender and Sexuality. Now it's easier for you to understand the concept of sex, gender, sexuality, as well as rights-related abuses. You should be able now to differentiate between sexual orientation and gender identity. Another important one is how to apply rights-based responses. Now, here's the fun part. I'd like you to take a minute to watch the next video, a dramatization on sex, gender, and sexuality.
Baby, what's bang ka thola teki ene le plaza nka apara ka jean ele ya ka wa
le hlisende go puteng
lona e manyane ka Europe, come on wa bona nka ore skipa sansa ka se red ya plaza na le ready mo wa bona
red and white
yo baby plaza wa bona iyo ke tlo ba kena wala this time ba tlotlwa ka nna hai
yes baby asithathe lento mina sibe le ifefa no
njani man
yazi zamani
ungajutana ubona amanyala lana uzakalani lana uthi kusikaze nawe hawu yini into ezakala lana hayi wena uzwa kumele njalo umuntu akhulume nawe ngaso sonke isikhathi awuboni ukuthi wena umfana awuboni ukuthi umfana wena mama ngiyamdina nje lento yenzayo you have a lot of experience to do.
Lindo awuzwa vele ukuthi ngiyakubiza was ozohlala eceleni kwami sokhuluma kahle ukuthi kwenzakalani. Hawu buka nje uhamba suqothoza nje yini ngempela mntanami yazi ngiyakuthanda Lindo uwe kuphela umntanami omfana kodwa lento osuphenduke yona indlela osiphethe ngayo indlela okhuluma ngayo yabona la ngaphandle sinyathwa abantu basibhekela phansi ngenxa yakho hayi cha wena hayi shemu isilingo somntwana. Hawu yazi umfana sakutholela intombazane le kasithole ukuthi sithole umakoti la ekhaya ayikho into eyenzakala into yenzayo ulethe ihlazo nje uletha nje ihlazo lodwa kumanje uact njengesicwecwecwe angikutholi nje kahle uyindoda umfana kumele uact njengomfana naseBhayibhelini liyasho futhi nalo kuGenesis 19 verse 1 to 11. Hawu ukuthi lento yenzayo le hayi shame wena uzongena esihogweni uzosha.
Oh mama, stop it, mama, stop it, mama.
Uzosha.
Let we have our own rights, we are people. Sinayo i-right yokuphila without any discrimination, mama. Nathi sinayo i-right, mama, ukuthi sikwazi ukuzi-express. We have freedom, mama. I'm a human being. As much as we have protection from Jehovah, and I have all protection from government, mama, please.
Hayi bo ugovernment uzokwenzelani? Akuna government phela la endlini. Hawu, hayi cha mina ngaze ngiyibona into enje.
It's fine, mama. Uzoba isiphoqi sengane.
Into nje nawe. Hayi,
Papa, please. Akubengafuni uthole ngale ndlela but ilento ebengifuna ukukutshela yona.
cha uyaphoqa, uyisiphoqi, uyisiphoqa uzwa. Wena. Hayi.
Ngisho.
Hayi cha, ikwami phela la.
Never change.
Hayi shame. Angeke phela mina ngiyibekezelela into enje. Hayi, cha uyakwazi bo ukwenza. Hawu. Enye indoda kwami